What's up guys, welcome back to another episode of 5W Tech. So, got a build here. If you did see from the recent short video that was done, we've got some cool parts here. Partner Roberto decided to go with a micro ITX build. Really cool parts. AMD CPU, 3080 Ti, 16 gigs of RAM, high memory RAM. I mean, we're talking 3600 megahertz here. And what do we got here? We got the Nvme SSD, EVGA 850 watt power supply, the non-blowing up kind. Got some fans, got a decent motherboard here. And the most questionable product here would be the Q300L case from Cooler Master. Not a big fan of this case. I did build in it before, and I feel like some of these parts that are going in here today are just too damn good to go into that case. But that's what the customer wants, that's what the customer gets, and we're gonna start building in here. So just to let you know, this is not a build video. This is not a how to build a PC. This is a how this PC looks after the parts go in, and some of the complications or some of the things that are cool or smooth and what looks good and all that. So stick around, let's see what happens. Okay, so a few things about this case. First of all, it's not tempered glass, so don't get excited about that. It is a see-through plastic acrylic type glass. It's a plastic acrylic see-through window. And basically, you still get that satisfying peel if you want to do that, if that's what you want, if you need something nice to look into. The whole damn case looks like it's kind of like high airflow. I mean, it is fully open, has lots of options for cooling and radiator support, which is great. And thankfully here they've wrapped up the front magnetic. I'm just putting that on right now, just temporarily like that, but pretty much you've got a good, decent amount of filtration on the top, on the sides. The case is pretty open, not the best for noise reduction or anything like that. And yeah, so I have built in this before, and one of the things I really dislike about this case is the fact that, you know what, let me get this open so that I can show you. Okay, so as I was saying, inside the case, decent amount of room. It's a bit weird with this whole like interface section being here as opposed to being on the top or something like that. I mean, it works. It also lets you mount the case downwards or sideways. It gives you some options, and that's great, but it's not your standard case. So the main thing that I don't like about this case is it doesn't have a PSU shroud. It doesn't have the basement for the PSU, which means that your PSU is exposed, and if you have a non-modular PSU and you have a lot of extra cables, they're gonna just be dangling around there. And that's not cool because it doesn't look cool. But again, I mean, for the price you pay for this case, which is really damn cheap, I would have gone with a different case, but let's see how it works out. Like the clearance in the back of the case, it gives you a pretty good solid cable management area. So it's pretty deep. It's not sure how much that is. I would say it's probably 1.5 inches of space, which is pretty damn good. So for now I got the SSD installed, I've got the CPU installed, and it does, the Ryzen 5600 does come with the stock Wraith cooler, which is perfectly fine. I mean, depending on how much serious overclocking you're going to be doing, it's really dependent on that. So that being said, great part is, hey, it's got some stock thermal paste on it, and that's just going to go right on top of that, pretty much taking up all the the space on the motherboard. And then we'll get the RAM installed, and then we'll get the motherboard into the case, and we'll see how that all looks. All right, boys and girls, so we've got the SSD on, we've got the RAM in, got the CPU in and the CPU cooler. Man, these things are really annoying. The stock cooler positioning with the screws. I don't know. I've seen better in cereal boxes. Anyway, I mean, it does the job. It's on there. It comes pre-greased with thermal paste. The RAM is in the proper slots. A2, B2 if you're running dual channel, exactly, if you only have 2 sticks. SSD installed. Let's go ahead and get this bad boy inside of the case and let's see what happens. Alright guys, so it's all put together. Like I said, I don't like this case whatsoever. And one of the reasons being is the whole cable management process, which the power supply will stay out and all your tangly spiderweb cables will just stay down here in this compartment area if you can't strap them down below. Now, in addition to this is a very, very poor choice of case for the setup that we have here. This is a 3080 Ti. This is one of the Gigabyte cards, of course, and they're pretty damn big, and I think they're over 320 millimeters in size. So that makes for a kind of an issue smuggling the card inside, getting it to fit properly. You have to sort of twist and MacGyver it as it goes in and out. And I mean, it's just not the best type of case and setup for what this guy wants to do. But hey, you know, it is what it is, and that's the setup. So we've got the, as I said before, we've got the Ryzen 5600X. We've got 16 gigabytes of 3600 megahertz RAM. We've got the Asus motherboard in here. We've also got two 120 millimeter Cooler Master fans for intake, one up here, one down here to cool the spider webs. And of course, putting anything on the front of this case as fans is really weird because you don't have the proper holes for everything. And you've got one exhaust fan here, which came with the case. You've got the stock cooler, this massive card, and this massive power supply here. And there's not much, I mean, there's room. I've seen worse, but it's not the most optimal setup that you'll want for a card of this size. It does have 3 fans. It should be enough. You've got a fan right here. I don't know. You know what? What's going to happen is we're going to get benchmarks from this and we'll see what the temperatures are like. I have a feeling the temperatures are not going to be so great. Might need an undervolt. This is what I would recommend. And I mean, the CPU will do just fine. It's going to get enough air. I don't know what kind of type of overclocking is going to be done. Probably just stock clocks. We'll see what he wants to do. And yeah, so that is the setup.
Alright, time out. Things didn't go according to plan. So that's why I'm here doing this little segment. Basically, the temperatures were shit. And why were they shit? Well, that's just because of a poor choice of components going into a very small case that has good airflow. Basically, the CPU temperatures with a stock Wraith cooler hit about up to 87 C with most of the boost clock settings turned off on the AMD processor, which is not why you buy a 5600K just to reduce boost clock. Now, with that being said, there was a temporary solution to this. Actually, no, a permanent solution. And when I say permanent solution, that was to replace the Wraith cooler with something much better and higher quality. So Roberto went with the decision to grab the Noctua NHL12S premium low profile CPU cooler with a quiet 120mm PMW fan. Now, Noctua coolers don't really look great with their whole brown and tan color scheme, but the great part about this cooler was the ability to mount it in different ways. Switching the fan over from one section to another section would allow you to put the cooler as a low profile setup, which was needed for this type of case. Now, with that being said, there was more done to that as well. The GPU, on the other hand, was sitting at a 77 degrees Celsius temperature, and I guess for a 3080 Ti, it's okay, but something with a beefy cooler like the Gigabyte, which is more on the mid-range side of things, you would probably want some lower temperatures on that. So we grabbed a drill, we drilled some holes in the case. And when I say drilled holes in the case, we drilled some holes into the actual plastic side of the case with a see-through. Now, that was a weird kind of thing to do because I've never done anything like that before, and who knows if it would actually work. but it did seem to help a little bit. We actually took the case and put some tape around the sides and ended up putting some holes that are the same size as the actual case holes for the front. And believe it or not, now the CPU temperatures definitely went down once the cooler was changed. I mean, we saw the temperatures drop at least 10 or 11 degrees Celsius and the boost clock go up. So we were seeing around 75 degrees Celsius when playing your average 2021 type AAA title game, and that's an amazing result. So the boost clock went up higher, the CPU clocked higher, the temperature went down. Now the GPU, I can't say that really there was a massive changeover in the temperatures. We did see it go down as low as 75, and then still in some cases it went up to 77. There's a lot of varying with all of that. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Stick around for more cool, crazy content. And if you could help out by throwing a like, a sub, and a comment, that would be amazing. It'll help the channel grow. We're still pushing to hit 1,000, and we're gonna start pumping more videos out like regular. So guys, thanks a lot. See you again.